Hello everyone, this is Brennan the Bronze, aka Brennan the Divine, depending on the platform. And today I'm here to talk about how and why I learned Italian. So this is just a part of the how and why I learned a language series, because I just wanted to do this to kind of like lay out the base, and then from there do videos. Some videos in English and then also some videos in the language, because mainly my videos are directed towards African Americans and the Black diaspora who is learning whatever language. So, you know, we're talking about Italian today, so either you already speak Italian or you are learning Italian. However, this video is directed towards you. So again, this is mostly, when I do videos like this is mostly a story time, like video, more or less. But with me, so we're just going to jump right into it. So I have to say, I think Italian is number 5. Because, you know, I don't count English in the list. And so I think there's 6 of them. I think there's 6 that I've learned. And Italian is the 5th. So it's one of the newer ones. And I started learning Italian in 2017. And that was, or no, I'll take that back. It was in 2016, excuse me, because and it's funny, I discovered Portuguese through Arabic in a way, because I watched a lot of Arabic news media, and I had like different journalists that I would follow and the different works that they would do. One is Rula Jibril, and then there's also another woman. Her name is Learn Arabic with Maha, and her name is Maha. She's a Palestinian woman living in Italy, and so both of these women I would see in news media and YouTube, and just their own projects that they would do in Arabic, but also because they were living in Italy, they had a lot of content in Italian as well. And so I had been speaking Spanish for about 6 years at that point, in 2016, but it didn't help me to just understand Italian. It wasn't like a key to all the Romance languages. I could recognize some phrases, but the grammar and the structure of Italian is so different. For example, in Spanish you say like tengo comida, like I have food. Tengo, I have, comida, food. And then in Italian it's o, H-O, o cibo. I was not used to that. I was not used to the structure of Italian. They don't use S's. Like in English, we use S's to make something more than one thing. Like you have a bike, you have bikes. In Spanish, you have una bicicleta, you have bicicletas. I don't know what bicycle is in Italian. Oh my gosh. But let's use another example. You have like, let's see. They don't really use persons that much in English. But like person, persons. Persona, personas. In Italian, persona, persone. And it's like you turn into an E. Like, so the grammar was so different. So I felt like, again, for the 5th time, well, I'll say for the 6th time, because from English and every other language onward, you just have to be in that place of really being humble. And so I was seeing, like I said, Rula Jibril in news media, and the owner of the channel Learn Arabic with Maha. I would see their content in Italian, and I would watch and just understand as much as I could, but it was really, really difficult. So I went to a library and I got like a high school language book. So a lot of libraries, even the not as source libraries, you can find high school language book or middle school language books. They might be from the 90s, but those are the best ones because they're more colorful. I don't know what they're doing nowadays with language textbook for high schoolers. I really don't think, at least in the United States, they want younger people to learn other languages. That's just a thing. But we're still out here doing it. So there you go. That's the beautiful thing. We're still doing it. But I went to a library, so that's the main thing. Library is number 1 for learning any language, particularly a language that you may not have speakers of that language readily around you. You would have to go to a library, close or far, to at least, even if it's just old content, because the content is still going to be the same. So language does change, but if you're just learning the baseline, if you're learning the alphabet, the essential words, the everyday speech is going to be fine. Now, if you're learning slang, that's going to be something else. That's going to, require you to be a little more, mobile. But we're not trying to run before we walk. So I went to the library and I would study on my own as much as I could. But again, some of the grammar was just so different. And it was just something else to do on my own. So I can't say every time I spent some time learning a language on my own independently, even though I didn't feel that I was growing that much, by the time I did get to a classroom, I had seen this word. So it was like, oh, these words, that's how you pronounce it. Oh, I noticed that they were having sentences like that. That's why they say it this way. Oh, I think I heard that word before. So I definitely want to say, if you're, when you're learning a language and you're learning it on your own, or you're in a classroom and it might be difficult, your brain is still learning things. It's still becoming familiar to things. Because even if it's something that you might have difficulty pronouncing, and you still haven't quite got it right after the 10th time trying, you still have 10 more times than someone who just has never done it. Point blank, period. Trying, learning as much as I could with textbooks. I graduated with my first bachelor's, and then from there, I signed up for a summer class. This was like an intensive summer class at my university. And from there, it was supposed to be accelerated, but it wasn't accelerated. It was just 3 to 4 hours of Italian every day. It was really intense, but life was pretty good. Looking back at the time, I just was in language classes and going to work. I mean, like, part-time. I love it, okay? But maybe that's not what you're doing. Maybe you have kids, maybe you have full-time jobs, however. But not all classes are going to be 3 hours. You can get a nice 50-minute class somewhere. You can get a nice hour and a half class at a community college somewhere. Or even nowadays online, they go stupid on Zoom now. Like, you can do anything on Zoom, okay? Anything on Zoom. It's pretty wild. So, thank God for the internet. So that was a thing. So from learning independently with library books to now being in a class. That's when the dots were starting to connect. And again, words that I seen, I was like, oh my gosh, you just say that? Okay. Bisogna. I was saying bisogna, okay? That's kind of that's a difference, from there, I got the base, and after that, I took a little bit more Italian classes, and I wanted to get a minor in it. So when I was going back to school for my second bachelor's, I wanted to get a minor in it, but I was like 2 or 3 classes short from it. But it's okay, because the main thing, and that was a valuable lesson that it taught me, whether you're learning something in a formal setting, whether you get an actual piece of paper or not, now getting formal certification and formal recognition of skills and skill sets has value. 100% point blank, period. That's that. And then at the same time, having the skill is having the skill. So although nothing on like my official records or anything like that says I speak Italian period. You know what I'm saying? I can hold a conversation, okay? I can talk to people. I can watch TV. Now I put on my Italian. Oh, there we go. There's number 3. Watching Netflix. You can find a whole lot of Netflix series, and especially you can find more series and more content around like Black Italians, Arab Italians, and Asian Italians. That you can find a lot of that on YouTube, and then you can also find shows like that. I'll kind of link the name of the show. It's called Zero, and I think it's called Zero. And it's like about, it's like an immigrant working class neighborhood in Italy, and they're like getting faced with like gentrification and stuff like that. And a guy has superpowers, and he's trying to use his superpowers to like protect his hood. Like it's good to me. And so the cast is pretty diverse. It's a good time. So it's a really good time to, particularly for my Black folk, if you want to see something with people that is more diversified, YouTube and Netflix, 100%. So I'll link some stuff in the bio below. I think that's bio. No, they call it description box. Link in bio's Instagram. My bad. Anyways, it's all the internet. So that is really just how I've been learning Portuguese, Italian. I do all my videos natural, off rip, no editing. That's how I learned Italian, having library books, taking classes, and then also continuing on my own, but then also utilizing media, Netflix, YouTube, okay? It's lit. The internet's lit, y'all. It's the whole playground. You can do so much. And then again, just to kind of add on that note, although I never got like an official certification in Italian, I now have the skill set. So now when I go, you know, if I decide to, or when I decide to go and, you know, take more classes and maybe get like you can't get a minor on its own, or maybe just get like a official language certification thing, which is something that you can do in the workplace. But I now have the skill set, because there's been times where I've been in classes and it was kind of intense because my skill set, that's one thing, the skill set was here, but the requirements were there, and so it was kind of difficult. But now I'm in a place where my skill set is here, the requirements of any class or any department, you know, I can supersede that. And then at the end of the day, if you can speak a language and you're enjoying it, that's the richness right there. So that is all for today. The next video in the Italian series, I'll be speaking some Italian. I don't know what I'll be talking about because, like I said, all my videos are unedited, and I just come on here to talk about language and then to talk in language. That's the goal, and that is mainly to motivate people, particularly my African Americans, Black diaspora, to keep us connected, motivate those who are traveling, wanting to learn a language for whatever reason, and yeah, just stay interconnected and all of that. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching. Ciao.